Welcome to the Cricket Roundup. We have had some exciting cricket news around these days. To start off with, Pakistan's tour of New Zealand finally is about to get underway. It came pretty close to being cancelled after a number of Pakistani players tested positive for COVID-19. It is still unclear how the Pakistani team that had tested negative overwhelmingly before the departure tested positive once they reached New Zealand. The authorities in New Zealand did not allow them to practice for a very long time until they tested negative 5 times in a row. And that obviously has taken a toll on the Pakistani team that were locked in their rooms for 2 weeks. To make matters worse, during practice sessions, both Imamul Haq and Babar Azam have broken thumbs. I'm just curious what kind of throwdowns were being given to them that actually broke their thumbs. Seems like pretty careless attitude from the management continuing on this tour. In the absence of somebody like Babar Azam, Pakistan will find it pretty difficult in the T20 series. It is expected that he can return to practice sessions in 12 days. We need to be more careful, especially with our batting lineup not being so good. The bowling lineup is fine, although we still have Wahab Riaz in there for whatever reason, but the rest of them looks pretty good. And I'm hopeful that Pakistan will deliver well, but I wouldn't really up the hopes in absence of the regular captain. We do have some interesting young blood, and they could be the surprise factor over here. Somebody like a Rohel Nazir, or well, he's actually playing for the Shaheens, but Haider Ali could really have his day in there. Abdullah Shafiq is also going to get an opportunity for sure. And somebody like Usman Khater, who started off really well in the T20 series against Zimbabwe, could actually do well down under as well. So we'll be looking forward to that. In other cricket news, the West Indies touring party is getting a real beating from the hosts New Zealand. They lost the first test match by an innings and a huge margin, and the second test match is going down the same road. The fight in the second test match has been better, but unfortunately the lack of experience in the batting department is really showing off, and that's not going to help West Indies. They need to fix these problems now. They can't really rely on one or two big names or Jason Holder coming back to their rescue every time. They have to have their players prioritizing the national duty over these T20 tournaments, and they need to really focus on building a test team as well as a limited overs team that can perform regularly. COVID has also struck lightning in South Africa, with England pulling out of the tour after some of the players from either sides showed symptoms, and a couple of them actually tested positive as well. It's still unclear how that happened, but apparently the Cricket South Africa management wasn't doing much better than our own, and they did leave some issues. India's tour of Australia continues. Interestingly, Rohit Sharma has been included in the test squad. Virat Kohli will only play a single test match before he returns home. And apart from that, Australia A and India are playing a 4-day game right now. Both teams collapsed in the first innings, and in the second innings, both teams have heavily scored. One of the weirdest scorecards I have seen in a long time. Perhaps the pitch is down after a couple of days, and I think it should be an interesting series. India has a decent bowling lineup. India has a pretty good batting lineup. However, in absence of Virat Kohli, I think it's going to be very difficult for them in the Australian conditions. Despite of the fact that Australia lost the T20 series, where they seemed to be playing their B team and India was sort of playing their A team, none of them had full strength players in there. I think Australia is easily going to win the test matches, and a result different from that is very unexpected. India did present a couple of good fast bowling options, but they weren't Ravi Shastri's Fab 5. I think the bowlers who really did well were Shardul Thakur and Natarajan. They seem to be good prospects for the future, at least in the limited overs game. And I am a little surprised that Mohammad Siraj wasn't given an opportunity in the limited over series. Perhaps somebody that the management is showing so much confidence in should have been given an opportunity.